Welcome to the pod. This is three creatives in the cross is the official name, right?
That is the official name.
The official name. How did that name come about?
Honestly, I'm very literal in my creative space, or when I start my process, I'm very literal. So when I deal with clients or commissions and things like that, I pull from the words, and so I thought of three creatives and the cross, and so I thought of like what kind of catchy names, and I thought of like the Old Man and the Sea, JJ Redick's podcast, Old Man and the Three, and I just was like, well, we three creatives and the cross, and I just wanted to just kind of simplify it, and I thought that was just cool.
That makes sense.
And it just stuck.
I like that. Cool. Awesome. So we're gonna kick off. I don't know. I guess we'll introduce ourselves.
Right.
We know each other.
They're like, cool, but who are you?
Yeah, who are we? So you want to kick us off?
Oh, yeah, that's fine. What we want to say about ourselves. So my name is Iva Durand. And I guess this is about us being creatives. So the ways that I am creative would be music, it would be preaching, it would be being a fake drawing artist.
I will not tolerate that.
Singing, playing piano, all those different things. And even with working in the mental health field, just being able to come up with creative ways to help people. So that would be pretty much me. Who want to go next?
Where can people connect with you at?
Oh, yeah. Instagram at Iva Joe Music. We in there.
Nice.
It's at Iva Joe Music on everything. So
That works.
Yeah.
That works.
My name is Eric Barber. I am a visual artist. I'm multidisciplined, so I can paint, graphics, digital art.
Swing your mic a little bit closer to you.
Got you.
There we go.
Graphics, painting, color pencils. If you can see it, I can do it. Preacher as well. And I am an amateur vocalist, an amateur singer. I'm still
Are you really?
I'm in the Iva Night School and for vocals. So I would love to be, but I am a professional shower singer. That's what I am.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
right.
Yeah, that's me. I'm a creative in everything I do, how I dress, walk, talk, and what I create.
Cool. And where can people connect with you?
Oh, sorry. E Barber the Artist. That's on TikTok and Instagram. All one word, all lowercase. E Barber the Artist.
Cool. And I'm Matt Jacobs, creative in my own kind of way. I think words specifically, because I gotta get the idea out and then make that come to life through visual, through YouTube videos and stories and things like that. And I'm a preacher as well. So that's another unique thing is that we're all
That's crazy.
preachers.
I didn't think about that.
It
Yeah.
didn't hit me until Iva said it, and I was like, "Oh shoot, I gotta say it too." And then I looked at Matt, and I was like, "Oh man, we all preachers."
Right.
Yeah. And I think there's something to just Jesus used stories in the Gospels to get people to connect and
Yes.
really go in life to be something different and unique and just a different way to teach. And so he has always given those illustrations. And so like I've always inspired to that and just been wanting to tell stories. And I love hearing people's stories as well. You can connect with me anywhere at That's Just Matt. And then that'll connect you to all the other stuff, to So Cincy and everywhere. So yeah. But yeah, I guess we're going to start off by making a lot of creatives upset. So if you yourself are a creative and you're a person who struggles with kind of the boxing and things like that, this first question might tick you off.
Yeah.
And so how do you define creative?
Yeah.
That's tough because like it's not tough, but I think it's a very broad term, and I think it's I don't know. I'm gonna let Iva go because it's like he was ready to answer that, and I'm gonna just piggyback off his answer.
Nah, I just want to see what you was gonna say. If I had to define creative, like a person that's creative, I would say being able to, I guess, be a visionary in a sense.
Yeah.
Being able to take something that is not yet formed and like bring it to fruition. Kind of like, I guess, being like God in a sense, not to where we want to be God, but just how like he was just like, all right, I'm gonna make the earth. There was never earth before that. So it's like he just went ahead and created the earth. And it can come from different ways. Like, both of y'all didn't mention y'all parents and, your own style of parenting. Y'all had to come up with that out of nowhere. So you had to find creative ways to be a parent, or, even with the way that you do your YouTube videos, things like that. You're taking like a vision that you have in your mind and making it physically come forth. And it could be physically, audibly, anything that we want to say. I think that would be like kind of, I know that's kind of vague still, but
Yeah.
I would think of it in that way.
And I think that's the point.
Yeah.
Because being a creative, I always was like, being an artist, which I think is the same term, but I think as a creative, I think it's that what you said, taking something that's internal and making it external. The one thing that I love about my gift of drawing and painting is that I take something that's in my mind and I made it real for my audience. And I think that is that kinship with God in Genesis, where it was nothing and then he spoke it into an existence. So I can't speak it, but I can write that mug down. So I think it's that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think too with creative, it's anything that deals with the visual, the audio, like the senses and everything, because you can be a creative through your dishes if you're a cook.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really it's a broad umbrella that anyone who is into some sort of design, like this is for you, where we're gonna try to figure out and balance and give wisdom and other stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about our first question. The Peter Pan effect. Faith requires an imagination not tethered to our reality. As we become adults, our imagination is slowly tethered to reality. How do you reverse it? So who was it? That was you.
Yeah.
This Peter Pan effect in creativity. What is it?
So again, I speak analogies. And so I love telling stories, and I love, incorporating stories to scripture and things like that. But I love the fact of Peter Pan, of the Lost Boys, and how they never grew up. And Peter Pan was the oldest of them all, but he just clung to his childlike imagination, and because of that, he was able to, go outside the rules of reality. And I feel like as we as Christians, when we first start out, once we're dipped into the water and come back out, we're like Peter Pan. But life hits, and when life happens, and with life's trials, tribulations, or whatever it may be, we slowly tether our expectations, tether God, or we kind of put the shackles or put God inside of a box when it comes to our faith. And so I realized that, and it's happened to me. How many times I've rededicated my life back and over and over and over after some very hard hits in life. And I realized that I tethered my faith or my expectations or my prayers to human capabilities, and not having God, answer them in a miraculous way. And so as a creative as well, I also felt the need to tone down my creative thoughts, because if everyone's going left, I have to see what right is. I have to go to that different path. So I always tone that down, because I thought I was a rebel or whatever. And so I just always wanted to know, I've spent my life trying to figure out, how do I add in the creative element? How do I make my imagination match my faith? And so I'm on that journey of reversing that. And one of the things is if I'm asking God, whatever I'm asking God, I have to make sure that it cannot be done in my own strength. And that's just rule number one. And then rule number two is sticking to that promise and finding the scriptures, to anchor into that promise. And so that's where I'm at right now. And as we get older and as we continue to do life with y'all, I'll share as I begin to reverse it. But those are the two things, how I've been able to start the process of reversing, untethering my faith / imagination to reality.
What has been a frustration? You mentioned something about the box and being defined at it. So what is a frustration that you've worked through?
Realizing that even though I think differently, that I have a voice, and that, that difference of a voice is needed. God is asking and calling. He made me a creative. So he needs that difference, and that's useful. So for me, it's my confidence, you know. Not that I have low self-esteem, but I end up deferring to whoever's in the room. You know, when we decide to do this podcast, I instantly went in the mindset of deferring to y'all two because I respect y'all's acumen and how y'all have walked. And so, yeah, I've just learned to do it scared. And so, did I answer your question?
Yeah. You did. I wanted to go more, but what about you, Ivan? What is that frustration in the creativity space?
I think one of them is like with me being a rapper and stuff like that, definitely figuring out what I can and can't do.
Yeah.
When I first came out and rapping, me and you had this conversation before, and Eno too. Like, you know, I was coming out, I was like, I ain't gonna cuss, but I'm gonna say the N-word. I was like, that's cultural.
Well, you know, Will Smith don't got to cuss in his raps to sell records.
Well,
That's true.
He's cussing now.
How is he?
Oh,
Yeah,
dang.
he
The one
dropped
with
some-
Russ?
Yeah, he dropped. No, not. Was it Russ?
That's the one he's like, I am a da-da-da. I am a da-da-da.
Yeah, I said. And listen, and Will Smith is a hero, a childhood hero of mine. So when I heard him say explicitives, I was just like, dang,
Yeah.
I can't get jiggy with this.
Exactly. Pun intended. And it's
Very
like it's like I grew up listening to, so when I was growing up, I was with my grandparents, and they would listen to Mojo 94.9. And so like I'll be listening to Grandmaster Flash, LL Cool J.
Yeah.
When I was like 9 or 10, you couldn't tell me LL Cool J wasn't the best rapper in the world. And like and then in turn like grew up listening to Will Smith, different things like that. So I saw that you could be successful, even later on finding out, you know, Chamillionaire never cussed and riding dirty. Like, that's crazy. Right, exactly my point.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But as a Christian artist, like, you see so many different things. Like, you have that whole thing where people were attacking Lecrae and Andy and all of them when they were like, you know, I'm a rapper who's a Christian, not a Christian rapper. And that was like a whole big debacle. So I'm like, all right, you know, if I'm going to do music and I want to talk about God and things like that, I don't want to be put in a box. Like, I don't want people to be like, you got to rap this way or you got to talk about this because you're a Christian who raps. I didn't want that because I felt like it limited my creativity. But I do feel like I'm able now, in a sense, to try to like be outside of that box. Because like even with like Sample Tuesdays and things like that, like I'm talking about relationships and different things. Some of it like comes from scripture and people don't even know. But, you know, I'm talking about these different things, but I don't have to like be reciting scripture word for word or something like that just to get the point across. And then too, like, I think sometimes there's like, when you do something creative, I feel like if you're a Christian, a lot of other Christians put like pressure on you to make it overtly Christian.
Yeah.
So like, I can't be an R&B artist who sings about love in a holy way because I'm not saying God in every song.
Yeah.
And it's like, why can't I be the Book of Esther? Like, like, it's not that I'm not like disowning God or anything like that, but like, can I talk about, you know, my life in a sense and how I interact with God, what God has taught me, all those different things without being like, Jesus this, God this. And, you know, I think it reminds me of when I was younger listening to Christian rap and I heard them songs like, go to church.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like they were being like super creative. I felt like, you know, a random deacon from a backstreet Baptist church could have
There's nothing
did that.
wrong with that.
No.
If you're a random deacon from
Shout out to the
Backstreet.
deacons. We need y'all. And so it's just like, you know,
You don't need that deacon rapping. We just need you to serve. Is that what I'm hearing?
I ain't gonna say that. We go get canceled first episode. And so, but I felt like, you know, sometimes we put people that do things like music in a box. And
We take the secular music and then we Christian remix it, and I absolutely am not for that because there is, like I said, there is no originality to it, and we're taking secular songs and basically washing it through our holy washing machine, and we're producing a product, and then we're putting it in our churches, and I don't like that.
yeah, I think it's just like, you know, if we're truly being fishers of men, like we're trying to use somebody else's bait.
Yes.
for
Yes.
our own intention.
Yep.
And it's not necessarily like the most horrible thing you could do, but at the same time, like, it's gonna remind people of the secular version in a sense.
For sure.
Like if I take that Glorilla 7 p.m. Friday, 95 degrees, I'm here praising Jesus, and Jesus here with me. You can't tell me people ain't gonna think about Glorilla when they hear it.
Yeah.
So like, you know, it's just different. But I think we don't allow God to step into our creativity when we put ourselves in the box.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we tend to just keep him out of it and say, no, this is my thing. Which, I mean, that translates to just about anything in life.
Right.
Not just being a creative person. Like, it's your finances, it's your relationships, it's
Yeah.
your career. And it's just learning to just say, God, like, what do you want to do with this? I think a frustration of mine that I've just recently learned, it's all thanks to B-Girl Ray Gun from the Olympics. The girl from Australia.
The one with the scooting noises on the floor.
And I was telling, we were in a group yesterday at the library, and we were talking to teens, and this girl was like, you know, I'm really struggling to put my stuff out there. Like, she has books and books and books of art that she just won't release, or for whatever reason, she says it's not good enough and whatever. And so I used B-Girl Ray Gun as an example because it was a realization for me. Like, there are people, whatever you want to believe politically, but there are people with less skills and talents doing awesome, wonderful things because yours isn't good enough.
Yeah.
And that'll get into maybe another episode. We'll talk about the good and perfection. But that's the idea, right? Is so she's out there doing the Olympics, and it's like, oh, she's in the Olympics, I could be in the Olympics. Like,
Right.
it's the same
Sure.
thing. And so with our creativity, it just becomes like, just put it out there. So getting back to that question of the frustration and the reimagining and things like that, you mentioned about reversing it. So what does that look like?
In my process, like I said, I have been, trying to reach beyond my imagination. What, I'm a visual artist. What is something that I feel like is impossible for me, but it's not impossible for God? I start there. But two, when I do my devotion in the mornings and I do my readings at night, I've asked God, I'm giving you my worldly confidence, and I want to replace it with the confidence that you have for me through the scriptures and through the word. And so just kind of imagining allowing God to enter that space of creativity and in my confidence of just, if I'm truly governed by God through the words, through the scriptures, and he's really changed in my life. And like Matt said, if it's in my finances and everything like that, I'm asking God, meet me in my creative process, meet me in my work, meet me here. And I think that's where it's like you have to invite God in. I think that's how you reverse it, is you allow God to in and you let him work and do what he do. And that's just where I'm starting at. As I go deeper in it, y'all are on this process with me and this journey with me. I'm in the process now of, documenting my process now. I bought me a lapel mic and I'm doing it. So I'm definitely going to start documenting how I'm doing it. But now that you've asked me, now I have to really intentionally write this out.
Don't
Yes,
let
sir.
B-Girl Ray Gun outdo you, man.
I can't. I cannot. I'm not going to have no one else less than me scoot on the floor. I'm going to scoot on the floor for Jesus.
Look, shout out to her for getting us motivated.
For sure.
Yeah. That confidence is unmatched.
Yeah, no.
Man.
Because she was even like
she's out there.
Yeah, she's even in the streets, like in the streets dancing and stuff. Yeah,
It's wild, bro.
Yeah,
that's wild.
People hating, but hey.
Haters gonna hate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. With reversing that process, what would you say to creatives who, I guess, in a sense, are scared to even start the process?
You got to start somewhere. Even if it's just little, baby steps. Visual artists, you mentioned the young girl who has books and books of artwork. It's also to a vulnerable process being a visual artist or creative. We are allowing you a snapshot into our world, what we think, what matters to us. We're not going to create it if it doesn't matter. And so that's kind of why we kind of lock ourselves up and don't put out our best work. And just like her, I have work on top of work that's just upstairs and it sits because I'm not sure if I'm ready to be vulnerable with myself. And I started with our first miscarriage. I am a father. Just had my daughter 6 months ago.
Shout out to Ella.
Yeah, shout out to baby
Shout
Ella.
out. Shout out to the wives who were watching the kids for us.
Man, for sure.
Hey.
Y'all are the real MVPs.
Shout out Bree and Kristen.
Yes, y'all
We
are the
love
real
you.
MVPs, and we love you. After the first miscarriage, I was devastated, and I could not find the way. I wasn't trying to go to therapy. I wasn't trying to hear it. I wasn't trying to go to church. And the best way I could kind of, resort to it was to create. And I drew the piece Why. And I wasn't going to post it. It was just something therapeutic for me just to do. And I just felt God said, post it. And I posted on social media, and I didn't put no music. I didn't do like no cutesy or like no edgy like videography. I just literally talked on it about like sharing with the world we went through this loss, because the world didn't know. I shared with y'all too the process of it. But no one else knew what happened because we had it so early on. And so when I posted it, the response I got from it let me know that the gift that God gave me is needed. And so sometimes you just gotta start with a little bit of leap of faith and let God work in that and look at that response, and that'll kind of encourage you to keep putting yourself out there. So that's kind of like, probably the third point. The first point is believing beyond your means. The second point is finding that promise in that scripture. And then the third is you're going to have to do it, and you're going to have to do it scared. You're nervous for sure. But if God truly is the one that, he says in Psalms 23:2 that he lets you lie down in green pastures, or he makes you lie down in green pastures, he's going to take care of you, and he's going to take care of that gift because he gave it to you.
Yeah. And I'd say for the creative, doing this, like start thinking the future and that you are going to be better. Yeah. Each time you sit down to be creative in whatever way that is. Like I go back into my old Canva like designs for church and stuff.
Yeah.
Those mugs were garbage.
Yeah.
Like just horrible. And but now, like, just because I've been doing it for church specifically week after week after week, that you ultimately just get better just by natural designs and trial and error, and you find stuff and you get inspired by it, and as our boy Steve Jobs says, good artists copy, great artists steal, and just put it together to make it your own spin and do those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the best advice, because like you just got to do it.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, like I know like you would talk about me all the time, like just putting music out. But that's hard sometimes, because sometimes you get comfortable being in the box, because then it's like, I know if I stay in this lane, I probably won't fail. But like the fear of failure with stepping out of that box is just like the big thing. So overcoming that fear. And sometimes if you ain't overcome the fear, you just got to do it. So
do it scared.
Yeah.
Yep,
and,
do it
and
scared.
not be afraid to switch up the style. Like you can get comfortable into into one medium. Like as an artist, like you can get real comfortable with just sticking with oil and not going to
acrylic.
Acrylic, pastels. I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Whatever those things are.
For sure.
And just stay. Like you can just get better and better at each thing. So I'm at the verge now where I'm like, all right, I love CapCut. It's so simple. It's so easy. What's next? Do I go to DaVinci? Do I go to Adobe? Do I go to whatever Apple's version of
Final Cut.
Final Cut? Thank you. Like what's the next step and getting into and really digging in and all that stuff. So yeah,
I think it's that saying you never arrive with God, and you have to kind of do that with your creativity. You have to go to room to room to room, and kind of like with I'm in my Canva hustle now, and now I'm gotten a pretty good handle on it, and now I'm looking, all right, I might be ready for Illustrator, Photoshop, like I'm ready to do that. And I got so wrapped up in just drawing and shading, I wasn't a good colorer at first, and so I kind of put myself out there and did that. Now I'm painting, and at first I didn't think I was a good painter, and then I'm doing digital work, and now, like you said, you never arrive, and now I'm doing tattoos. So it's just, you start to just kind of, what other area can I involve God in, or what area can I keep sharpening my skills? But you gotta do it. You gotta be consistent with it too. If you're not great, you're not working.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah. And I think too, like I think of I can't remember the location of it. But the scripture that basically says, you know, that the suffering produces perseverance, perseverance produces the character produces hope. I know you're gonna find it.
Philippians.
It might be.
It sounds like it.
But the thing is, like, it didn't start with hope.
Yeah.
Like, you had to persevere first through it, and then that built your character, and then that character was able to lead you to the hope. So, you know, sometimes we got to start and learn how to persevere first.
Yeah.
Galatians. There we go. I'll be bad with the location sometimes.
Yeah. Nope. Not good. Yeah.
But yeah, I think about that, and I think, you know, overcoming the obstacles that we face as creatives. Sometimes you just got to go through a season of persevering. It's like anime, hit the training arc.
Yeah.
We in a hyperbolic time chamber getting ready for sale. Like those type of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I like it, man. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, we can end there.
Yes, sir.